Shut up. She's over there all wrapped up in a blanket with her fake Tim Hortons coffee.
I feel like I'm in a la la land over here. I'm in another dimension.
Good. It's a good place to be.
That is. Yeah.
Well, I had an epiphany this weekend.
Okay.
I know will probably come to a shock, for you guys, but I realized I have a communication problem.
Whoa.
I know
Never
you
knew
guys would
that.
have never guessed.
You never know.
Return home to yourself. This is your space to reconnect, to realign, and to embrace the fullness of who you are. Welcome to the Return Home podcast, where we're diving deep into all things womanhood. Unfiltered, honest, and empowering. Let's get into it.
So, the reason I came to this conclusion is, so obviously we had this whole conversation the other day about trying to use your words and ask for what you want. And I think that's one of the biggest lacks in mine and Joe's relationship is being able to communicate properly for me to get what I want, especially now that I'm growing up and becoming, changing myself. So this weekend, over the last few days, I've just been making just small, nice, sweet toned comments about just things that I want from, how I want him to love me, how I want him to handle me. Like we got into it about something, it was work related, so stupid, but I was just emotionally drained. I was stressed out and I was overreacting, just pouring my whole heart out about how life sucks because work's so crazy. And then what I needed was really him to just hug me, hold me, and say, hey, none of this fucking matters. It's all going to be okay. It's just work shit. I know you're stressed. Thanks for all that you do, yada, yada. I didn't get that. I'm going to do the lawn because he was trying to escape my emotions because he was like, these are too big for me. And this is dramatic, coming from the logical guy. This is too dramatic. This is overreacting. So he went and did the lawn. So over the weekend, I explained to him how that didn't help my situation. Now I'm in all my feelings and I'm alone. I didn't have anyone to comfort me, anyone to tell me it was going to be okay, anyone to tell me that, okay, it's okay that you're overreacting. It's okay that, you're having these big feelings. I'm here. It's all, we're going to get through it. So I explained to him and he understood. He gave me, some things on his side. And I was like, I totally see that. I totally am willing to understand that my freaking out was just out of pure stress. Trust me, I know it doesn't really make sense. So it's okay to not be logical. So I had to explain that. And then we got talking and I've been wanting to do something for my birthday. But I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was back and forth. So then I was like, you know what? I want a damn birthday party. Nobody ever throws me a birthday party. I haven't had one since I was like 13 probably. No, 16. 16 was probably my last one. So I was like, hey, babe, what if we do this, this, and this? We have, I want a birthday party. And he was like, whatever you want. Well, at first I was like, okay. So then, of course, me immediately being the, control person that I am, I start acting like I'm going to plan this party. So I'm getting my list together and I'm getting all the things that I want to do. And he goes, no, you asked me to throw you a party. Now you can go ahead and create your little invite and you can send it out to whoever you want. But now that I know what you want, let me do it. And I was like, okay. So now I'm getting a little surprise birthday party that I wanted, that I didn't even know I wanted, but now that it's happening, I love it. And I'm like, wow, things just really work out so easy when you say what you want.
Imagine that.
So a part of that realization was the epiphany that I think the reason that I was never able to communicate what I wanted was because it's almost like you're the main person that loves, you're the main source of your love or what you want. It all comes from you. You're doing it all. So when you're doing it all, it's all in your head. What you want, what you think, how you feel. You're communicating with yourself on that. So when other people are trying to love you and trying to give you what you want, they don't necessarily know what you want. And if you're not telling them, if you're not communicating with them, you're expecting them to know what you want because you know what you want. So you're expecting that communication that you have with yourself to be the communication that you have with them, but you're not communicating. And you're just expecting, well, I love myself and I know what I want, so they should know what I want. That's not how it works. And the same was reciprocated when I started asking him questions like, what would make you more happy? What would make you less stressed? And then he started naming some things. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. That's so easy. Like, things that I wouldn't have thought about. And it's like, wow, if we would just communicate with the people that we are wanting and expecting love from and explain to them, not when it's in the middle of a fight, not when it's in the middle of it's too late to explain this right now, but actually when you guys are in a good place and having a good conversation is to explain and let them know, hey, this didn't feel right in that moment. I just wish you would have handled it this way. It's okay that you didn't, but like going forward, if you can handle things this way, it would make me feel better. What would make you feel better? And then it's just a back and forth because nobody can read your mind. And then when I was thinking about all the things, I went back and forth with like 4 different things that I want to do for my birthday. And I'm like, how do I even expect him to know what the hell I want when I literally don't know what I want? And I'm like, wow, communication is key.
35 years to figure it out. It's fine. No big deal.
No big deal. Consider this my rebirth.
35.
Well, sometimes we just fear asking for what we want. I think because I guess, fear of rejection. Sometimes you're thinking, I'll just rather get up and do it myself. I'll get it done quicker. I don't want to bother anybody. And you're right. We don't know what we really want.
Well, I think this is a male and female dynamic because I think for women, we pay attention to details. We will hear something you said a month ago and we'll remember it. And we're good at that to where when it comes to their birthday, we are like, oh, well, I'm going to get them this, I'm going to get them that, and they're going to love this. I'm going to throw a party, and we do all this stuff because that's just our natural tendency. Also, we are doing the thing that we probably want. Where like a man, if you actually ask them, what do you want for your birthday? They'll probably say nothing or like something very minimal or something that we couldn't even have thought of, but we go over and beyond because that's just the way we are. We dream, we plan, we are just detail oriented. And then when it is our turn and it's like our birthday or whatever, they don't know because they're not in that realm. And it's fine. And so it does have to come to using our voice and actually saying in a nice way, like, this is what I want. This is what I'm thinking. And then they'll do it. They'll do whatever you want. They're not those detail oriented. Let me pay it. Maybe there are probably some men out there that do those things and that's cool. But for the most part, most men are not thinking about those little tiny details or what you said months ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, half the time we literally don't even know what we want.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's like my opinion could have changed a million times because, most of the time I'm like, let's get out of here. Let's travel. Let's do something. And that's normally what we do for our birthdays being so close. So we usually just travel. So even he said, he's like, I can take you to, an all-inclusive. He named off all these
Because that's
cool
what he
things.
likes. He likes to go on vacation for his birthday. So he's like, yeah.
Even his dad was over and was like, you for what you're going to probably spend, you could just go to Mexico again. He's like, I know, I already asked her that she doesn't want to. And I'm like, yeah, because we already do all that. And we're going to do that too again.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, and I guess figuring out one of the basic things, figuring out what you want first so you can explain it and give people the detail of what you're wanting. Because if you don't know, you can't tell anyone what you want if you don't know what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was my weekend epiphany.
And that's just really in all of life is like, if you don't know what you want, God can't give it to you.
Yes.
And you have to be willing to actually ask for things and then dream about them, think about them. I've just recently read about how, like, in the moments of just even like eating and drinking, like dream of the thing that you want and like let that feeling rise in your body and let it come through. Sometimes it might be like a shake of energy. Sometimes it just might be like a big breath, but like let that feeling of what you want come through. Imagine it, dream of it. And then yeah, let it express through your body. But continuing that, and it's really like a drive to let me actually think of what do I really want. I literally I realize how much I don't ask for things, how much it's like I don't know what I want. I have a good life. Even thinking about like money sometimes, like even putting a quote on how much money you want. And like, yeah, you can say, I want $5 million. I want $1 billion. Like actually saying those numbers and not like, yeah, I want this business, or I just want to make ends meet, or I just want enough money to travel. And it's like, just enough money to travel? Boring.
Right.
Yeah.
Like actually being able to say, I want this amount of money. I want this boat. I want this house. And for me, sometimes I've played small in that of like, what kind of home do I want? Well, just get me like a fixer upper and like what? Fuck that.
Right.
No.
Let's settle.
Give me
Yeah,
a
we
fucking
settle.
beautiful ass house.
Yeah.
Yes.
The houses that we look at that actually fit our needs are like $700,000.
Right.
And it's like, I'm
Just gotta
not
manifest
gonna,
it.
yeah, I want that. I
Yeah.
want that.
Yep.
Yep.
Like, we'll get it. We'll figure
Well,
it out.
and when you actually are able to say the things that you want and stop downplaying yourself, you will push for those goals, and it just expands your mind to be able to create and think and know your worth. That's also valuing yourself, because I am worth that $700,000 house. We're going to have to figure out how we get there, but I'm going to get there. And not downplaying yourself and just saying, oh, I'm okay with, these little things. I'm okay with, one vacation a year. I'm not okay with that. I want all of these things, and we need to work towards all those goals. And just being able to say those, even if they don't come true in 6 months, they don't come true in a year, being able to still be positive and say those things just shows how much effort you can give and how much value you have of your worth and what you should get.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like a complaint of like, oh, I don't have the house. Like, it's been a year and I don't have the house. It's like, no, continue to dream of that home.
Yeah, it'll
Continue
come when
to
it's needed.
believe that that's possible for you. And yeah, it's not of still bringing yourself to the present and like what you have here and now, but also it's okay to continue to want and dream and envision something bigger, because yeah, you can create it and it can happen.
Yeah.
You just have to know what you want first in order to get it.
I remember a story when I was youth pastor, and we only had one vehicle, your dad and I. And I remember running when I was training for marathons. I was thinking we need another a vehicle, and I wanted a van because I was youth pastoring. And I remember seeing a van parked in a driveway, and I said, I want a van like that, this color, with these certain things. And probably about 3 months later, the church was given a van that was given to us. It was the exact same van I had said I wanted.
It's cool.
So that's how you learn, when you learn to speak things, and
Yeah.
that's part of how you manifest.
Yeah. And knowing that the biggest part of that is not putting a limit on what you can get, because your subconscious, at the same time of seeing that, your subconscious could have said, oh, I'll never get that. I'll just settle for any van. And then you wouldn't have gotten that van. You would have gotten some junker.
Right.
But you have to say, no, I can, this can happen. It will happen. And in the right timing.
Yeah. The universe works it out.
Yeah.
I should have asked for Mercedes.
But yeah, I would like to go back to the point of like when your emotions were spiraling and you were a little chaotic, a little dramatic, whatever. And really acknowledging how much we do need that grounded man. Like women, we are emotional beings. We can be chaotic, and that is honestly a superpower. It's not something to wish away or to be like, oh, we're just so emotional. Like, it is our superpower. We don't need to shun that side of ourselves, but having that centered and grounded masculine container that can just say, hey, none of this is to worry about. None of this is your problem to carry. This is mine, or I've got you. We're going to be okay. And simply just a hug and that loving embrace of saying, calm down. It's okay. And it just centers us back into that safety that we really need. Because the reason we're a little chaotic is because we don't feel safe. We feel like things are crumbling around us. And honestly, they probably are. But, but it's also like it's going to work out in the perfect way. But we just need that groundedness to hold us and to give us that peace and that reassurance. And so really, for men to understand their superpower of, hey, you are that grounded, centered, logical man that I need right now, and use it as your superpower to help us, to bring us safety, and not just, oh, she's chaotic, oh, she's emotional, like, let's brush her off. And no, like, let's bring her back into my arms of safety, into my grounded heart, and yeah, just give her that peace. And your woman would calm down. Your woman wouldn't be so dramatic and so emotional and so chaotic if you understood that your superpower is simply just a hug, is simply just that reassurance. Like, making it worse, like, or yelling or walking away or leaving her to handle it all on her own, she is going to spiral even worse. And then you're fighting more, you're at war with each other. And it's like, no, you just be that center for her.
Yeah. I think they go straight to the logical and they're like, none of this matters. And then they just assume that, she'll get over it because she'll realize none of this matters, which may be the case, but she doesn't have to it would be a lot quicker of a recovery of her knowing that it's okay and, she will get over it if you would have just given the hug, or if you would have just said, I see everything that you're going through. Let me try to take care of this in the best way possible. Don't worry about it. We'll get through this. And it's just like when I said that to him, I was like, and then you just went and did the lawn. He's like, Ashley, who else is going to cut the lawn? Like, he tried to be so logical about it. Like, we have people coming over tomorrow and I had this and this and that. And I was like, yeah, but again, if you would have just given me a hug, all I needed is a little hug and you would have calmed me down. And I was cooking dinner anyway. I would have just went right back into my womanly mode of finishing dinner. I would have probably went out there and helped you with the lawn and or whatever else needed to be done with the flowers and whatever. And we would have had a great night. But instead I went to bed because I was still so pissed off. And now I have to explain all this to you which is fine. It's all a learning lesson. I needed to explain it to him anyway. But it's just like, if they would understand, it's okay to just put your logics aside for a second and communicate and just give a loving response, a gentle response. You don't have to solve all the problems. I think for him, I was throwing so many problems out at him, work and home and this and that. And all he sees is, how am I going to fix all of this right now? And then he's like, let me just do what I can only fix right now, which is cut the grass, because he's like, I need to fix the problem. And they do go into that mode. And it's like, no, you didn't have to fix any of the problems. The problems all would have solved themselves. They weren't even really problems anyway. They're just me being emotional about the problems. And if you would have just said, Ash, don't worry about any of this. Let's just deal with what we got to deal with today. If you would have spoke all those things, I would have come back to reality and said, you're right. None of that other crap matters. Thank you for giving me a hug. Thank you for being there. Now let's go cut the grass together. But yeah, men don't. They sit in the logical and they're like, I can't fix all these problems right now. What am I going to do? And they try to do what they can, or they get defensive because their wounded self feels attacked, or, they've lost their value. Oh my gosh, my woman's spiraling. Is it because I'm not good enough? Is it because I'm not worthy enough? Then all of the things, even though they might not realize that they're thinking all of those things, but their subconscious is thinking those things. They are feeling attacked, or they are feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to solve all these problems. How am I going to do all of that in one day? She's freaking out. How am I going to fix this all right now? And it's like, if you realize that you don't have to fix it all, you just have to give me some space, give me some love and attention, or whatever whatever is needed in that moment.
Well, some men cannot handle, like you said, emotions. When we're standing there crying and they're thinking of all the things they got to get done, then you're having a meltdown and they can't comprehend it. They can't even fathom what to do. And really, if all they would do is just get up and hug you.
Yeah, the simplest thing.
Simplest thing, just hug. You can't figure out her emotions, and you got a million things to go do, and men want to fix it. Just get up and hug her and hold her and say, it's going to be okay. Yeah. We're in this together. We got this. It's going to be all right. Yeah. And we do center ourselves. It is just that touch.
Yeah.
Them letting us know and reassuring us, it is going to be okay. We're going to get through all this.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times they can also be taken to the bedroom.
Hey, that's where it should go.
Sometimes
you just need to go right to the bedroom.
If she's sad and emotional and crying, like, okay, maybe she needs some gentle affection and touch to calm her down.
Yeah.
Is she a bitch? Is she angry? All right. Well, let's take that into the bedroom and get your anger out.
Yeah,
but an orgasm should probably fix just about anything, and that's the truth of it.
Yeah,
but a lot of times it's like, don't even touch me.
I can't deal with that. Like the men or the woman will say, inside you're saying, I can't deal with this. I am not in the mood to go have sex with her or him because I'm got all this rage going on or this. If we would just stop and take a moment for whoever it is, your husband or the wife. Just stop and block all that anger and frustration and sadness. And let's, grab a hold of that person and say, oh, come here. And
because
if it does
take
you, it is. I noticed, one thing I noticed when you're hugging your mate, and I'm learning the one posture you should do, is sit in each other's lap, basically, and put your heart next to each other. That connection comes back, and we don't stop Why? Because there's Joe thinking, we got this grad party going on. We got this, this, and this, and we got to get
head's in
this,
the
this, and
way.
this all done. We don't have time for this emotion right now. We don't have time to go to the bedroom.
Yeah.
But you do.
Yeah.
It will stop it all.
No, I definitely believe that, because that's what, in reality, that's what we're looking for, is some kind of physical connection, emotional connection. And what gives you both of that at once is, and it doesn't have to be sex. I didn't have to get bent over the fucking kitchen sink. Maybe I probably would have felt way better.
Probably. Sounds like it.
Sounds like that's what I needed, but but it's like, if I just some kind of physical connection. You come over there and kiss my neck, I would have stopped yelling immediately.
Literally.
It's so true.
Right. Just some gentleness, some like,
Yeah.
just from that. Yes, you are a grounded, centered man. Just reel me in. Like, it is desirable. She will want to sleep with you eventually when you actually ground her and she knows that I am safe with this person. Like, it can calm a woman down and she will want to go to the bedroom with you. I guarantee it.
Yep.
Because, that is their superpower.
Yes.
Well, it'd be really cool if mothers would raise their boys to do this. I think a lot of women just don't realize it themselves, so they don't think to teach their sons.
It's not a
this.
woman's job to teach that. It is a man's job.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It is a father's
learned
job.
that's a
That's
learned
learned.
Agreed.
experience.
A father should actually teach their son.
Because if a woman teaches it, then they're teaching the son to be responsible for their emotions. So when the mother is losing it, it is not the
True.
son's job to come and comfort her and be that presence for her.
Right.
It is for him to watch his father
Yes.
do to his wife.
You're
if
right.
he's having to do it, that's a whole conflict in itself.
my
That's a whole
goodness.
wounded boy in
Yes.
itself. It is when he is watching his father be present for the mother. So if the sons would see that, okay, my mom is having an emotional breakdown, my mom had a bad day, whatever it was, look at my father. He embraces her, he's
Yes.
kissing her, he's holding her. If they're seeing that, everything's a learned experience.
It
The
is.
reason the men are acting the way they are because the men before them have been acting the
Yes.
way that they are.
And women learn by what they see, not what you teach them.
Exactly.
I know with you girls, I noticed it wasn't what I'm teaching you, it's what you saw me do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
It is true. The men need to step up and raise their boys now, because we're seeing a society of weak men, young men who are just sitting there in their homes playing video games, 40 years old, still living at home with their mommy. What is going wrong in society?
Well, the biggest thing is the family unit is destroyed. There is no push to have a man in the home. Everything is women can do it on their own. Women are independent. We can be single moms. We can do it all. And that's the biggest push right now. And it is not fun. Ask any single mom out there. Yes, they may be doing well. Yes, they may be thriving. Yes, they may be able to handle it on their own. But do they wish
But they're not
would
handling
it
it on their own. Like, it's
No, they're having to play both
Yeah.
roles.
Yeah.
You-
Yes.
you
Yep.
are, if we're completely honest, it is just not true that women can handle that much load.
No.
Like, we bleed for up to 7 days. Let's honor it. We need rest.
Yeah.
We have a different cycle. We are the moon. We have 4 phases. We have about 1 week of our peak of energy, and then we start tapering down. Where a man is the sun, they have a 24-hour cycle. And so we need that. We need that support, that help. A woman may be able to do it, but it doesn't mean that she's thriving
Yes.
Right.
at
Yes.
all.
Not at all.
And there has to come a point where women do have to allow the fathers to raise the sons. And what the father wants to do and how he chooses to raise the son, because a lot of times, which that's dangerous territory as well, because the father might be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and that's why it does come down for women have to start choosing more wisely who we have children with.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because that is who's going to raise your son, and that son is going to continue, hopefully, creating more offspring. And is that the kind of man you want your son to be? And a lot of times, the son becomes the woman's like first real love because the father isn't there. He's not around. And so then the son has to take that role and be that for the mother. And then the mother has this just subconscious loyalty to this boy, and they allow them to just be weak men.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to work too hard.
I'll do it all for you.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they become that what you are supposed to be for your man, they become that for their sons, and then their sons never leave the home. The sons never go on to have their own family because they have this tie to the mother, which I get it. I get why it happens when there's no father in the home. Of course this is what's going to happen.
Well, and then the reverse happens for the daughters. So then they're teaching their daughters, oh, you got to be strong, you got to be independent, you got to work hard, because they're teaching them all the things that they have to do. Oh, because I don't have a man, my son can do whatever he wants because we don't have to set rules for him. But my daughter now, she has to become strong, hardworking, all the opposites. We're treating them opposite. You should be treating your son with, oh no, even if there is not a father in this home, this
Right.
is what you will do. This is how you will act. You will work hard. You should be teaching them all the things. And then your daughter should have the love and the affection and the easier life. You help with the cooking and the cleaning and all the things that women are supposed to do. But it is very sad. There is a huge role flip that has happened because of the lack of fathers.
I know. I
And
raised
then
two
a
girls.
lot of the fathers, even if they are in the home, they still don't get access to fully father that son because the mother is like, don't be so hard on him.
That's the problem.
Don't don't do that. Like, that's the old ways. And no, a man's life is supposed to be hard.
Hard.
It just really is.
Yep.
It's sorry, but like it is. And this is probably why they don't want to be married and they don't want children anymore, is because this is just too hard for them to carry. But it's just sorry. It just is. You have a wife and children. You have a job, a business. You have to be grounded, centered, logical. And yeah, it is tough. It's a lot tougher than we have it as women. But it also is what makes you feel good. It's what makes you
It
feel
makes them
like a
become
man.
When they're
Yes.
having to work and do those things, they are built for that. I think the world went wrong when whoever the woman was that brought out this women's lib bullshit, where women should be equal to men. I don't want to be equal to a man. I don't want to do the things that a man does. I want to be soft and feminine. I found that I had to become like the man all my life, having to fight for myself. And that's a huge problem.
Well, I think the biggest misinformation about that is women think that they need to be equal, but we are so far above. To be equal with a man is to lower our power and our divine femininity. I don't know how to say that, but our divine. And we are lowering ourselves because the man is there to, and hopefully this doesn't take out of context, but the man is there to worship us. And that is not to say that we aren't supposed to do the same back to him, because he is our grounding force. He is our container, as you like to say. That is what he's there for. But he is there to be the lead and the guide to us, and also to take our divine intuition, our divine knowledge, and listen to us as well. So we have the highest power of intuition. We are meant to be listened to. We are very wise. And if men would realize where that role is, yes, you want your woman to sit back, relax, and take care of the kids and cook you food and clean the house and take care of all the nurturing and the caring. Yes, we can, but we can't do that while doing everything else.
No, they want to be treated like a king. Then you treat us like a queen.
Yes.
And we are there. We will rise up to the occasion
Yes.
and we will make you become the strong man. We will back you up. But when you make us work and we're cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children, running to pick the kids up, come back, you got to cook dinner and then clean the dinner while the man goes lays on the couch. There's no coexisting. The woman is doing it all. That was me. And I'm exhausted. I'm burnt out. I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
All these emotions. And then the man is not able to even handle my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But you got me over here doing all this stuff
Yeah.
that I should not be doing.
Yeah. And then
They just think
and
they're
then they
entitled
think
to
they
lay on that
deserve a
couch.
blowjob. Get the fuck out.
Yes.
There should have been a point where it was like, I'm not working because you could do all the other things. You can cook, you can
Yes.
clean, you can take the
Yes.
kids to school, but I can't work too.
Yeah.
And there is a point where when a man actually has that duty to go out, he goes to war all day long and comes home. The only place that he has peace, hopefully, is his home. And so you would actually been able to provide that peace, but you had to work. And so there has to become a line in the sand of like, I'm not going to work as well.
Right.
And come back to a conversation of what is my role? What is your role? Like
Yeah.
whatever fucking choice you decide to make, whether you decide to work, do whatever the hell you want to do,
Right.
but come to an agreement and a contract with each other of like, this is what I can do on my own. This is what I need help with. If I'm going to work, then these are shared duties or whatever the fuck. Make a contract with each other. This is the biggest deal you're ever going to make, is to bear children together and live life together forever. Then seal it in a fucking contract and say, this is what I expect. Tony and I just did that. This is what I expect. These are in the nice. This is not a demand. This is not.
Right.
This is just simply asking for what we want, and we put it down on paper. And when somebody steps outside of the contract, we gotta evaluate.
Right.
But if you don't know what you want, you can't complain about it.
Yeah.
And when you allow this stuff to happen, like, fuck, half the time everybody does this stuff to themselves and then they're complaining about it. Like, you married the piece of shit man, or you allowed your son to be a fucking loser, and you now are sitting there complaining and you're the victim of it.
Well, sometimes I'll say this for myself. Got married young. You thought you were in love. You get married, and we don't do those things prior to marriage. But do you sit down and actually discuss, this is what I want out of the marriage. This is what I'm expected. This is what I expect of you, or make that contract. So when you don't do those things, you don't, first of all, plan who you're going to marry and have boundaries and desires and limits. Who do you want to marry? Who are you going to have sex with? And spend the rest of your life with raising children. You get married, and then all of a sudden, all that changes. And now I'm having to work multiple hours, raise the kids, cook, clean, do all these things, and you keep going. Obviously, you don't even realize you're in a fight or flight mode. You just keep doing these things and you are exhausted. But these are the things you have to do in marriage. That's what I thought. And then you come to a point where I'm not doing this anymore. And then what happens is a woman gets into perimenopause and they're changing, they're finding themselves, as I did. I went, wait a minute, I'm doing all this stuff while he gets to lay on the couch and I've rubbed his feet.
That ain't
and when,
perimenopause, baby.
yeah, you
That's
that
just
wake
an
you-
Awakening.
Voice.
Yeah.
Well, that's
just
what
an-
happens is you get to an age, you wake up and you go, this is not what I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing. And now they're freaking out because you now have changed.
Yeah.
And now I hit the gym because I was falling apart, and I'm trying to now get myself back. My kids are getting older. I'm going to start taking care of myself. And then you start letting those things go. I'm not rubbing your feet no more. You want to rub mine? I will rub yours. But nope. I stopped doing all those things and started finding myself. And then people start thinking, oh, she's gone crazy.
Well, as soon as you start setting boundaries, everyone loses it.
Yes, that's the thing. And it's a normal thing, but
But boundaries need to have been set
should have been
very
set.
quickly. And it
Yeah.
needs to be set on the date. This is where it drives me crazy because it all starts with dating. Nobody talks about these things on the dates
No, you're
because
just in love.
Yeah,
He's
let's
so
not talk
cute.
about that
She's
too
so
soon.
cute.
If I say what my requirements are on the first date, he might leave me.
Right.
Good. Skedaddle.
get out
Yeah.
of here.
Yes.
Yep.
We
Yes.
need to draw the line immediately when we're dating, lay it all out there and say, this is how I want to raise my children. This is what I believe about marriage. This is what I want to do. And if you can't say those things on the first date, then you need some soul searching.
Yeah.
You need to start actually writing down what kind of person or woman you want to be.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now that who the man is that's sitting right there, who he is in that moment, that's exactly who he's going to be
Yes.
in 25
They
years.
don't change. They
Yeah.
get worse.
Yeah.
They only
Well,
usually get
no,
worse.
they get worse because we get
Allow
more
them.
unhappy.
Yes.
We start demanding. We start controlling. We start bitching because we're not happy because we never set boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, 10 years down the line, you want to start setting boundaries. And it's like, whoa, you're different. Yeah, I'm different
Yep.
because
Yeah.
I've been miserable for 10 years. But
Yeah.
also, you chose that because you didn't set the boundaries in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, okay, yeah, it doesn't mean I can't change, but it's also take responsibility for what you chose as well. You never set boundaries from the beginning. So now you can't be mad that this is your situation. And yeah, he might be getting worse because he's also getting miserable
Right.
because you started asking for shit. And so, if that man can't provide your needs, your wants, your dreams, he has to actually know them.
Yes.
Again, let's go back
Yeah.
to he actually
Yeah.
has to know what you want.
Yeah.
And then he actually has to go and figure out a way.
Yeah.
If he's not figuring out a way, honey, that ain't the man.
Right.
yeah.
And don't procreate with him.
Right.
We're all just finding our way back to ourselves, one honest conversation at a time. Catch you next time on the Return Home